This is Brandon Dialamonte with the City of Pittsburgh's Office of Special Events. I'm excited to bring you another Black History Month event this year, where we'll be talking about Charles Teenie Harris, the Pittsburgh born and raised photographer who would go on to gain national and international renown for his work. This display was curated in partnership with the Carnegie Museum of Art, and you can actually visit this display in person in downtown Pittsburgh throughout the month of February. You can also follow us at PGH Events Office on Facebook and Twitter, where we'll be releasing content all month long. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Charlene Fogy Barnett from the Carnegie Museum of Art. And Charlene, why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what it is you do for the museum?
Thank you, Brandon. And this, I must say, is such an honor and a pleasure to be representing the Teenie Harris Archive here for Carnegie Museum of Art. Teenie was an amazing gentleman that I had the good fortune of knowing. And so I'm very pleased to be able to tell his story through the photos that we've selected for the installation downtown, and also in terms of just general knowledge. People should know a little bit more about him personally. So I guess I could just start by saying Teenie obviously was not his actual name. His nickname was Teenie, and but he was born Charles Harris. And one of his relatives gave him the nickname Teenie because he gave her a nice hug and she said, "Oh, you're a teeny little lover," and it kind of stuck. And then it just grew to be the only thing really people recognized as his name. Mayor David Lawrence actually gave him a second nickname, which is One Shot Harris, because Teenie was so good at taking a shot quickly without a lot of fuss and setup. And the mayor loved him so much that he had him do a portraiture, and any special events the mayor was having, he always requested Teenie. So we're very excited about sharing that too.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned that you grew up with Teenie in your life a little bit and he knew your parents. How do you remember him as a person and, obviously as a photographer, but what was he like?
He was just an amazing guy because the community trusted him. And I think that's one of the biggest secrets about his success. He was one of the community. He was able to capture moments that other people may not be invited to or know anything about. He might have just been at an event because as many of our interviews have attested, no one saw him without his camera, that great big camera.
Hmm.
And so I never saw him without his camera, ever. He would come to our house and put it on the coffee table, it's just, it was in fact what Teenie looked like,
Yeah.
And you have a photo of that in your collection that you're going to have on display. And that's a classic Teenie photo. And that's what people remember Teenie looking like, always kind of, what's my next place I'm going? Here's the camera. But he was also a very sharp dresser, as you can see in this photo back here. And that was important to him, to set a good example, to be clean and prepared. But he was so agile. In a lot of our photographs, you'll see that he was up on top of structures, taking
Hmm.
photos, pointing down, or they're shots that we can't figure out how he took them with that great big heavy camera.
Yeah.
But, but he was amazing, and everyone loved Teenie. I've never met anyone who didn't like Teenie or has a negative thing to say about him. And I would say he was a straight shooter. He told you exactly what he thought, but it wasn't a negative attitude or anything. He was kind of a very positive guy, kind of speedy. He was in and out. That's basically what people would remember about him. He'd show up, he'd take the photo.
He'd take one shot, right?
Usually one shot,
Yeah.
sometimes two, but usually one. The one he knew he had was the one that was the better one all the time. And he might have another one, but in some of the photos, you'll see people are looking away, or they may be looking down or whatever. And I can remember him saying, "I'm only going to take this one time. So, everybody look forward," or whatever. And if you missed it, you missed it. But I think as a result, a lot of what you see is people in process. And so it makes it makes for an interesting photograph because you feel like you're in the room with what is going on. So it's very cool the way he shot. And another thing that I think is so cool about Teeny in terms of a personal situation or his personal life is that he somehow had time to be with his family, play with the kids, go to social events with his wife, and yet still be on the beat all the time. So I don't know how he did it. I really don't know. But when he got to the end of his career, he realized he had so many negatives, and what he had captured was so impressive and unique, because he wasn't a press photographer only. He wasn't a wedding photographer only. He wasn't a society columnist photographer only. He wasn't a civil rights photographer only. He was all of these things. And I think that's why he was so good at it, because he was shooting the reality of what was going on in the community. And so it's just amazing. I don't even know how he could remember what he had shot.
Yeah, really. I mean, there's a photo off the top of my head of a man working construction. He's jackhammering in the street. And in that photo, you can just kind of feel sort of the essence, or really feel what's going on around this person, and the kind of the energy that must have been in the city at that time and in that era specifically.
Exactly.
And again, the display that Charlene and myself are referring to is an in-person display that you can see in downtown Pittsburgh at the City County Building. You can also follow us at PGH Events Office on Facebook and Twitter, where we'll be releasing content all month long, including videos and more interviews with Charlene, as well as photos from the Teeny Harris archives. And if you have any questions about the display, feel free to reach out at PGH Events Office. And we also encourage you to visit the Carnegie Museum of Art's Teeny Harris display entitled In Sharp Focus, where you get the other half of the story about the work that Teeny Harris did in the community. So Charlene, if anyone has questions about the Carnegie Museum of Art display, what's the best way to reach you?
You can always contact the museum and ask for the Teeny Harris office. That's where I'll be. My phone number is 412-622-1012 for my direct line. And I think we'll add my email so you can see it. It's a long one, so we'll write it out for you. But yeah, just contact the museum, and we're happy to work with you in any way we can.
All right, Charlene, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brandon.